What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek.
I'm Kevin.
And together we're last week's album. We're bringing you the only reviews with two different views. And this week we're talking about No, No, No by Beirut. And we're asking the big question, will Beirut's No, No, No make your ears say yes, yes, yes? But before we go any further, we're going to start things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Kevin. Cheers, everyone at home.
Cheers, Derek. It's like the question you ask about every album, pretty much. I like it.
Yeah, but the wordplay doesn't, lend itself, all the time like this one does. So, we're never want to turn down easy jokes here at last week's album. So there you have it. Beirut, though, started out as a solo project of Zach Condon, who is a Santa Fe native. He plays trumpet, accordion, mandolin, ukulele, very well-rounded multi-instrumentalist. This is his third or fourth studio album. Not really. It kind of depends on what you're counting. But this follows 2011's The Riptide, which really kind of brought him and his growing band to prominence. However, as I mentioned, this album, No, 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 comes 4 years after The Riptide. He had a brief hospitalization in Australia while on tour, went through a divorce, now engaged, and now living part of his time in Turkey. So a lot of life happened, and he's now back with No, No, No. And without further ado, we're going to talk about what it sounds like. Kevin, what did you think?
Derek, I think this album sounds like a more international The National meets a more symphonic Spoon with a little hint of like Talking Heads and Morrissey. What do you think?
I like that. I think No, No, No sounds like Morrissey-like vocals over rich orchestral arrangements, courtesy of Sufjan Stephen and the Fleet Foxes. So, yeah, I like your reference there. All right, so that brings us to key tracks. Kevin, what did you have?
I've got At Once and Perth. What about you?
Nice. I'm actually going with the track titled No, No, No and Pacheco. So I'll start things off with No, 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 as that one comes first in our key tracks, number 2 overall. There's a lively organ riff, light snare drum, vocal la-la-las going into the verse. In the post-verse, there's increasing percussion, trumpet, other horns, join the curl la-la-las for greater texture. And in the second verse, even further layering of the vocals, where as in the first, it was more lone vocals. Structurally, I thought this was very similar to earlier Beirut songs, where it's really a slow builder. Lyrically, kind of liked the layered choral la-la-las really kind of lengthen the track, and there's really just kind of one stanza of lyrics. But they're good lyrics, so it's nothing to scoff at. So Kevin, why don't you tell us about At Once?
Sure. At Once has these really woozy sway, of horns, piano, and light percussion. The sort of questioning convictions. He says, how do you know at once, at last, at all? And it lulls you into a sort of mellow, contemplative groove. It's very sort of low-key, but still intriguing, if you will.
Low-key and intriguing. Other words you can use other than dirge. Interesting. My key track, Pacheco, I think was really kind of the complete opposite of At Once. And that one was very determined. This one was very light, upbeat. There's a bluesy bass guitar riff, keys, bass snare, drum beat, harmonized vocal ooze. And I thought this really kind of created a gospel or R&B vibe, which I thought was very unique to Beirut. And so that's why it really kind of stood out to me.
Nice. Yeah, and then my last one is Perth, which it really sort of picks up the pace from the dirge, if you will, Derek. And it's got this Cassia-tone-like synth, chugging drums, funky horns. And I think this one, compared to my other key track, really illustrates the nice balance they strike between sad and, in this case, glad.
Nice, nice. All right, so that brings us to best lyric. Kevin, you want to start us off?
No, no, no. But yes, because my best lyric is from that song. He says, if we don't go now, we won't get very far. And it's one little nice line you could argue it's not that original, but I think it really captures the overall feel of this album. It's got this urgent, forward marching feel to it that I thought, really sums up the listen as a whole. What did you like, Derek?
I'm taking one from the album opener, Gibraltar, and I think echoes a lot of the same themes or message that you just described there. And he says, everything should be fine. You'll find things tend to stand in line. It's but a link in time. Maybe a more global view of time, but I liked same message of moving on, perseverance, the progression, if you will. So that brings us to overall rating and asking the big question: will Beirut's "No, No, No" make your ears say yes, yes, yes? So Kevin, why don't you start us off?
I will with I do think it'll make your ears say yes, yes, yes. I've read some disappointing reviews about this album, and I have to say I don't get it. I'll admit I'm no Beirut expert. I can't speak to how this album fits into their entire discography, but I still think it's a fun, unique, charming little album. It's good for a short drive or maybe like a nice mental break from something. Overall rating on the pro side, it's moody yet fun, chill yet interesting. They've got a very unique sound that really draws you in, or at least it did for me. On the con side, it's a bit short, just over 29 minutes. Feels more like a meaty EP than a full album. And while I think the lyrics are intentionally vague, it made it hard for me to get a good sense of what they're trying to say or ask. But nonetheless, good album. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. What do you think, Derek?
As to answering the big question, will make your ears say yes, yes, yes? I'm going to say yes once and no real follow-up. I totally agree with you. I think this is great to throw on while you're at work or on a road trip. On the pro side, I really like the wide degree of instrumentation, which is kind of a cornerstone of Beirut. I guess I've really only kind of been listening since the Riptide, which was, I think, one of our last reviews in writing, which tells you how long ago there has been in between albums. That's always been a cornerstone. I think things that are similar to those sounds, the lush layering of sounds. I think this is highlighted in the instrumental as needed here. Strong vocal harmonies. Simplicity in lyrics, I think, has always been kind of a cornerstone of Beirut. So I think there was some growth here, but at the same time, that as I kind of mentioned in the title track, No, 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 kind of fell back to earlier methods, if you will. I kind of thought, just listening to this, there's gonna be some longtime Beirut fans that weren't gonna like it. I thought maybe some of the production or some of the pop tendencies. Or just further exploration. I worry that might be a turnoff to some folks, but overall, I think this is really good. Shows continued growth from Zach Condon and company, and that's why I'm giving it an overall 4 out of 5. So there you have it, a combined 7 out of 10 from both Kevin and I. Thanks again for joining us here at last week's album. Don't forget to subscribe to us so you can get the only reviews with 2 different views and a handful of tongue ties, because that's what happens when you record live. Shout out to the podcast. Until next time, as always, I'm Derek.
I'm Kevin. Cheers, guys.